Hi, I'm looking at Fukushima, and this is the Bing site that has all these pictures that I'm going to go through and use all their pictures. So here it shows, I don't have real clue on the exact dates for any of these pictures, but this just shows that they're spraying the skies over Fukushima too, with all the chemtrails to keep the workers safe. Sure. So these are the boiling water reactor type for the GE made. You can tell by the ring around the bottom and just the general look of it. But these are not Fukushima because they're too close together. The buildings are farther apart. But this shows you the construction. And I think this is like that yellow cap we see all the time on number 4 that's laying there. It's that part. Now here's before they built a plant, of course, they had to draw up some plans. So I think one of the PhDs, this is what they came up with. Pretty good, huh? And then after he got his PhD, he figured out he could draw better. So the nuclear assassin drew this one. So here's the water bucket up here. Now these are, I'm going to say it's Fukushima before, but this is the water that protects us. This is one of the water buckets. So these are all the nuclear fuel rods that they move in and out of the reactors to the water buckets to keep us safe. So this is the plan for all this stuff, is to keep it in water buckets because nuclear scientists are really, really smart. So here, this looks like the water boiling off in number 3. I don't see any hoses spraying in there, so this is just all the water from the water buckets boiling off as all the nuclear material reacts and says goodbye from the water buckets. Here's some more burning, probably nuclear, probably one breath you'd croak from that. Now here's the water bucket afterwards. Remember all those fuel rods that were in there? Well, there's none in there now. So they're all gone. Hundreds, thousands of tons, 2,000 tons of this crap in each one of these buildings. And the 4 buildings melted down, blew up, whatever. And the 2 next to them are in critical shape. Now, I've done a little construction, so you can just see all the triangles here. That's where the strength comes from a lot of construction. So you got these beams around the top, going all the way around, until you get over to here, and they look melted to me. That's what I observed. They're melted. So I've cut a lot of steel in the past with, you know, oxyacetylene, and you have to warm metal up for a while before you can even cut it. So if they're saying a hydrogen explosion melted this, well, they're lying. And this is an indication of criticality to me. How can you melt beams? That's just a tremendous amount of energy. So here's building 3, and it looks like there was 2 explosions because the water buckets are on this side and this side, and then the reactor's in the middle. So I guess the water buckets must have reacted. So you look at this one, I don't think it was a fission explosion or fusion, or they were very, very brief, but I'm going to call it a fizzle. I think all this fuel just went and just tremendous heat melted everything, and all that radiation shot up in the air and stuff. Here's 3 again. Look at all that. That's from the reactor. It looks like in the middle of the building. Now, this says to me it was not a hydrogen explosion. That is a tremendous amount of power again, just like the melted beams. So all this crap they lie about every time they open their mouth is just that, in my opinion. There's another one. Look at this. It's destroyed. It's melted. It's gone. There's just holes. So let's say there's a water bucket here and a water bucket here, and the reactor's just there somewhere. That's 3. So this one has the date and times of the explosions. And they even show explosions on these. They don't show, and they show them right above the reactor. So I think truth just slips out sometimes in all this stuff. Because a hydrogen explosion would just have equal wavefronts all around, and they concentrated in their cartoon. So here's water bucket, reactor. So I don't think there's anything left here. I think these are just inserted. I don't even think they're real. So they're telling me there's water in here, and they have booms around it, and this is going to pick out the good rods. I mean, is that ridiculous? I think that's ridiculous to me. But as long as they're happy with their presentations. So this is when the nuclear scientist was in post-PhD class. He drew this one and said, uh-oh, if it melts, it'll go in the water and then we'll pollute the whole ocean. And he got fired. Can't talk like that. So they killed him in a car wreck. So this is an indication of some current flows from Fukushima. But all the charts you see of these things indicate, yes, it's leaking, but it's a leak for 100 years. So basically all the oceans are going to get radiated from these 4 meltdowns because people had to make money from power. So this is I never saw this one. It says, this is Fukushima, and then it says spent fuel dry storage facility, which is right here, which is no further away than the reactors. So did the wave get in there and take all that out? I have never heard word one about that, but I have to assume yes. So here's the I believe this is a secondary containment vessel which goes over that big metal cap. So this would be in this hole, although it looks hard to say. But anyway, that's one of the items that just got blown off when these things blew up. To show you the amount of power and energy, just blew that away as it went up and melted the beams. So here is the storage idea for the Olympics to make everybody happy. They take these 1-ton bags, put topsoil in them, pile them up, and what? And what? Pile them up? That's the plan, I guess. Another indication of the whole ocean's dying. Now this one, it says a lot of good stuff. 800 counts per minute high readings, and so there's lots and lots of radiation out there that the news media really doesn't tell you about. It says she's going to wear a lab coat. That's going to help a lot. Here's that one post-PhD drawing. Ocean. Now this shows the bioaccumulation of toxic substances, let's say radiation. So as it goes up, then you're at the top. You're the predator. You're not a bird, but you're a fish eater. So it's 10 million times. So I would not eat anything out of any of the oceans. I wouldn't eat any fish anymore. All kinds of good stuff to read on this. It's Oregon, Gold Beach, 30. I'm going to try and go to the beach and do some stuff at some point. Rachel Maddow lying to everyone. Deformed fish. As long as the general population is passive, apathetic, diverted to consumerism or hatred of the vulnerable, then the powerful can do as they please, and those who survive will be left to contemplate the outcome. That's where we're at. we're in the contemplation stage because everything's controlled by insane business people now. Some of GE insane people is just an example. So this one was interesting. It says some radiation is more harmful than others, of course, but 1 millisievert equals 100 millirads, or millirem. So I'm still trying to get my head around this stuff because a lot of stuff I see is in this MR. So anyway, it's just for my to look at. Future. So the thing about thyroid cancer is the only thing that causes it is radiation. So here's 86 when Chernobyl blew up, and then the ever increasing thyroid cancers in people in Russia. And in Japan it's much worse. But they don't. I've heard 33 in 100 children have thyroid indications of thyroid problems. So 1/3 of the children in Japan. Okay, the death of Yucca Mountain caused by political maneuvering. All this material in all these plants, no one wants to take charge of it. GE doesn't want to take charge of it. They want the government to pay for it. They want you to pay for this long-term storage because they're never going to pay for it. And you might not be around long enough to pay for it. Rushed efforts to shut down Yucca Mountain. Did not provide any technical or scientific basis for shutting down the site. Anyway, that just shows that Obama is a Nazi like many other presidents we've had. So this is a picture of, this is number 4 here, and the number 3 is here. If it was the daytime, you'd see it has a big cap on it. So there's a big cap on it that they've built over the last months. I don't know exactly, I haven't kept track. But if you look at the Google Earth, well, there's nothing on 3. There's absolutely nothing. There's no cover on it. You have to look at this in the Japanese daytime, of course. So it's 10:25 at night there now. But there's nothing on this. So that shows how old Google pictures are. Because you look at Google, and then you look at, they got these indicators, 2018, Google. So if this was 2018, it must have been January 1st, because they don't want to update it, because they don't want people to know anything. I'm not sure.